Hey, get going on your homework. Does this feel like your classroom? Yeah, we get that. I'm Kara Flash.
And I'm John Marzan.
Together, we have over 40 years of math teaching and coaching experience.
And we currently teach middle school math, so we felt that pain too.
Let's play a little game of Would You Rather. Do you have moments where this would be a hard decision? Yeah, we have too. How about this one? Man, teaching can be hard, can't it? And finally, let's give you an easier one. If you pick choice B, you have come to the right session. We are thrilled to share with you something that we've stumbled on that we think can have a big impact on your classroom tomorrow.
It can spark engagement, uncover brilliant thinking, build community, and bring joy. Simply put, it can awaken your classroom and it can re-energize your spirit too.
Please take a moment and read this quote that sheds light on its impact.
Feedback like this is why we're here today. We have stumbled on something that is just too good not to share. Let's talk a little bit about how this idea was born. When we were math coaches, we worked with 18 teachers and our collective goal was to improve math outcomes. Our first phase was tackling skills. We did this primarily through adaptive online resources and friendly math competitions. This had a big impact on our math scores. Kids now had tools in their toolbox.
But we discovered that they really weren't very good at using them on the richest problems from our curriculum. So the next phase was to tackle the mountain of math application, getting kids to use those tools to solve problems that don't just follow algorithms.
We grabbed the hardest problems in our curriculum and tossed them at the kids. Grabbed our pom-poms and we started cheering them on. Guess what? It didn't work out so well.
Their hoods went up and their heads went down. And it became our personal mission to try to figure out how do we get kids to engage in really hard math problems.
Like this one.
This was the original problem that caused us grief. Add 3 data values to the following data set so the mean increases by 10 and the median does not change. How do we get kids to do richer math problems like this? We were hell-bent on trying to figure that out because we believe that this is the most untapped potential for math growth sitting in our classrooms. How do we change math from primarily algorithms to more thinking and have kids buy in? How do we get kids to discover it's fun to use your brain and that hard work feels good?
We had 18 teachers who were willing to experiment with us, and so we did. We threw things at the wall. A bunch of it failed.
Some of it miserably.
And this one stuck.
We wondered if we wrapped the challenging problem in a bit of fun, would the kids engage? We decided to pair the problem with a class challenge. The more kids that got this problem right, the more chances they would have to play the class challenge as a whole.
So, John took the day off and sent me in as the guinea pig. I took this quirky, gimmicky idea and I tried it. And truly, my jaw hit the floor. What I was observing was not just students engaging, it was so much more than that. And I excitedly grabbed my phone and I texted John.
So I'm out in the woods and I feel this buzz in my pocket. I pull out my phone. It's an incoming text from Kara. I opened it not knowing, is this going to be good news or bad? I open it and read it. It says, this shit is gold. I immediately got goosebumps and I could take you back to the place I was in the woods when that text came through. Suddenly, I'd wish I hadn't taken the day off.
This little tool that we thought was just going to get kids to dive into hard math problems has transformed our classrooms into rich, joy-filled, warm, inspiring communities. We didn't see it coming, but looking back, we really should have.
As we digested what happened and continued to experiment with this, we realized that in order to get kids to do rigorous math, deep thinking, and engage in discourse, we had to have a trusting and safe community. What had occurred is that by bringing in the fun, we were building the safe, trusting community we needed.
Before that, we had been trying to get what we wanted without giving the kids what they needed. When we started with the fun, much like beginning of the year team building, we were able to build community, which built the trust and safety, and then that allowed our kids to safely dive into rigor,
have the discourse, and go do the deep thinking. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
The more we used interest igniters, the more fun we had, the stronger community we created, which in turn allowed us to get even more of the rigor and deep thinking we wanted. In a nutshell, interest igniters are the connection between what teachers want and what students need. They unify the classroom.
So let's dive into what interest igniters are. They are classroom challenges that the students take on as a unified classroom team. In simplest terms, interest igniters are a motivational tool.
You can use them to motivate students to do whatever it is that you value in your classroom. We use them primarily for rich math problems. The best part, they take little to no prep time and can be used with any curriculum. This will awaken your classroom.
Interest igniters provide a spark, especially for students who don't normally engage. Not only will you engage kids, you will have fun, they will have fun. Together, you will build a community and bring some much needed lighthearted joy to your classroom.
This is really the basic principle of how they are implemented. Think of anything you value and want your kids to care about. Then wrap it in an interest igniter. You preview the interest igniter challenge to build excitement. The kids engage in the work with more enthusiasm and focus than you've seen in a long time. And then the class takes on the interest igniter challenge. Let's go more in depth and see how this transforms a typical classroom. Usually, we hand out a problem and give directions. We tell the kids to get started. We repeat the directions for the ones who weren't listening. We remind kids to stay on task. We try to engage the apathetic kids, and we lather, rinse, and repeat. This drains your battery.
In an interest igniter classroom, we preview the interest igniter, which sets the purpose. We hand out the work with no names and no grades. We'll talk more about that later. We give the kids work time, we collect the work, and then we engage in the interest igniter.
One important thing to note is there's this magic window that we've discovered. It's a fertile opportunity to go much more in depth. We will get into that later as well.
This is an example of an interest igniter that will hook your students into whatever it is that you're asking them to do. It's just a quirky challenge that they play as a unified classroom team, and we will look more at this one momentarily.
Why does this motivate kids? They are working together as a team to earn something that they want. What do students earn? In our case, it's almost always free time. We typically use free time for 3 reasons.
1, it's free, and I love free. 2, we really cherish the unstructured time with kids. It doesn't happen anymore, and I love it when I get it. My students typically use it to just chat in small groups. They might play games on their Chromebooks. I always have some that are playing Pictionary or Hangman on the whiteboard.
Sometimes they even just talk to us.
And some do their homework. Not my idea of free time, but that's what they're using it for. And number 3, it is amazing to see how excited they get about the potential of 5 minutes of free time.
We all have the pressures of time as teachers. I, in my current district, have 42-minute classes. So giving up 5 minutes for free time can seem like, do I really want to do it? I look at it as a trade-off. Giving up 5 minutes of that free time, I get 15 to 20 minutes of engaged, focused kids giving effort on a problem, discussing the problem after, sharing strategies. The richness of that is well worth the 5 minutes of free time.
But if free time is not your thing, or if it's frowned upon in your school, we have a few other ideas for you. Kids could earn cell phone time.
Kids could choose their seats for tomorrow.
They might accumulate points toward a bigger class incentive.
Maybe something as simple as raffling off Jolly Ranchers.
Or a homework eraser to get rid of a few homework problems for that night.
So that's the big picture. Now we're going to show you 2 specific scenarios and how we use interest igniters in our classrooms.
In scenario 1, we're going to show you how we ignite interest in rigorous problems kids are often reluctant to try. We look at the end of our textbooks for the hardest problems. It's the kind of problems that we were truly afraid to hand out. Or we grab the open-ended questions from Open Middle.
Dan Meyer in 2015 TED Talk summed it up this way. I sell a product to a market that doesn't want it, but is forced by law to buy it. I mean, it's just a losing proposition.
And we totally feel this pain. This is a wonderfully rich problem. A string is cut in half. One of the halves is thrown away. 1/5 of the remaining half is cut and thrown away. The piece that remains is cut in half again and thrown away. The piece that now remains is cut into 10 pieces that are each 3 inches long. How many inches long was the original piece of string that we started with?
The dilemma you face with this type of problem is that your math lovers dive in, but your stallers, they delay. You have slackers who don't do anything, and the knuckleheads fool around. So this is the life we lead as teachers. We hand out the work, repeat the directions 3 times. We give them work time, and we desperately try to get kids to engage, and we end up collecting the work from those who did it. It's exhausting. Quite frankly, it's not enjoyable. It drains your battery fast. How do we change this pattern? We drop in an interest igniter. We preview it before handing out the problem. We hand out the work and tell the kids no names, no grades. This is intentional, and we'll talk more about it later. We give them work time. We circulate the room. We collect the work, and then we engage in the interest igniter itself. The pattern's been changed.
We showed this interest igniter earlier. This is the hook. We tell kids that for each correct answer, we will play them a part of a song, and they will collectively earn a minute of free time if anyone can give the next 3 words of the lyrics. Kids now have their purpose. They collectively benefit from each correct answer. When you hand out the previously shown problem, there's a focus, even from your knuckleheads.
With this particular interest igniter, the room comes alive with singing, rhythmic head bobbing, and cheering as songs are played and kids blurt out the next 3 words. It's so cool. If you were looking to get kids engaged, invested, trying their hardest, and for some fun and laughs, this would be a simple example of how to do it.
Truly, that's the impact that we hoped for when we started using interest igniters. However, we discovered that that was just the tip of the iceberg. You absolutely will get community, you'll get excitement, you'll get motivation from your kids, engagement, fun, and focus. And you can live there happily. You will have more joy, you will have more engagement in your classroom.
But what lies beneath the surface has blown our minds time and time again. Everything above the surface is readily available to you if you do an interest igniter in your class tomorrow. The stuff below the surface, like strategy sharing, critiquing reasoning, rich discourse, questioning, and transforming student status, comes with utilizing what we call the magic window.
We discovered that there is this magical window of about 5 to 7 minutes where students are thirsty to know how many tries they get in the challenge and will listen to anything you have to say. It comes right after you collect the work and just before you engage in the challenge. Here's a part of a video from our website that highlights the tremendous power of the magic window. The moment you collect the work, the magic window opens. The kids are thirsty to know how many chances they get in the challenge, and they will listen to anything you have to say for about 5 to 7 minutes. It is absolute gold. What will you do with it? Here are some ideas.
Number 1, you could go way deeper into a problem that you'd never think kids would engage in trying.
You could get kids to share strategies for solving the problem.
You could discuss favorite mistakes, those areas that kids keep getting stuck on.
You could teach vocabulary.
You could analyze what proficient work looks like and have them listen.
You could get kids to share how they adjusted their thinking today.
And you could get kids to appreciate the thinking of others. Our favorite question to ask during the magic window is, whose thinking impressed you today?
Truly, the sky is the limit.
If you're intrigued by this magic window, try an interest igniter and watch it open.
If you want to blow your mind with the real power of this magic window and have your students completely shock you, then watch our video on bonus points. I am addicted to bonus points.
There is huge power in using the interest igniter and the magic window. By doing so, you start building some really powerful norms in your classroom, such as increasing collaboration, improving questioning, learning multiple strategies,
Normalizing mistakes, and transforming student status. We wanted to take a moment to talk about transforming student status. It's one that just really hits our heart. It's because our students come into our classrooms and they already have this preconceived notion of who they are as a math kid. They're good at math, they're bad at math, and so do their peers. Their peers know who's good at math and who's bad at math.
Every single time we do an interest igniter, it seems like somebody in the classroom, the least expected person, does the most unexpected thing. And it is such a gift. There's brilliant thinking that comes out. It doesn't have to be that they got the problem. Sometimes it's simply like the way they started a problem. Or sometimes it might just be they did something everybody else is going to do, but I go up to that student, I lean down, I'm like, hey, can you talk about how you started this problem? Because maybe they made a table, and I want them to get a little bit of math status.
Sometimes if I see that, I see them make a table, I'll just acknowledge that that was a really cool way to start the problem, just loud enough for their peers around them to hear it and acknowledge that that was really cool thinking.
Other times I just see kids that are persevering that normally don't persevere. And I'll just mention it when we're going through the sharing of this whole thing. I'm just like, I really appreciated seeing so and so work through their struggles. It was amazing.
I'll also highlight like a picture that was drawn. Like, I can't believe you made a picture for this. This is a great way to visualize this problem. I love it. Another thing that I really love to do is if I'm walking around and I know like there's a kid that needs a boost, I need to boost that kid up, and I see that they've done a ton of work on their paper. Maybe it's scratched out and they just keep trying. I know whose paper that is. When I've got those papers in my hand and nobody knows whose it is because there's no names and nobody knows whose paper is whose, but I do. I'll grab that paper and I'll hold it up and I'll say, I don't know whose paper this is, but please look at all of the thinking that is going on this paper. This is amazing. And then I beg you to watch that kid's face while you're doing that, because there will be light behind their eyes that was not there before.
You can literally feel their status lift. Teachers who pair the magic window with the interest igniters quickly became believers. Holy crap, I just had a magical conversation using these with my class. My mind is blown. I was so nervous going into it because I thought the problem was too hard. They rocked my world. We can't underestimate the student ability or put a lid on it. Holy shit, excuse my language. Came from a teacher.
We are going to get into scenario 2, problems with more than one solution, one of our favorites. But before we do, we're going to pause for 20 seconds or so because we would like you to read this problem and start to think about how you would solve it. And then we'll come back to it in a bit. Come up with a fraction that when you add it to 65 hundredths, you end up with a sum that is less than 1/2 but greater than 0.
Problems with multiple solutions are a goldmine for creativity. We've developed specific interest igniters that have a big impact on extracting creative solutions, encourage your students to dig deeper than their first thought, get them to authentically analyze peer work, and allows you to publicly honor the creative ideas in your classroom.
Coming back to this problem, the dilemma still consists of slackers doing nothing, stallers putzing, and the knuckleheads fooling around. But on a problem like this, even your math geeks often take the path of least resistance. They'll stop at their first answer that they get, and they don't think outside the box.
We're going to utilize an interest igniter to pull amazingly creative thinking out of the students, and hopefully out of you right now.
The challenge we're doing is duplicate drop. Here's how duplicate drop works. You're going to solve this problem on your own, and then I'm going to collect all of your answers. I'm going to pass them back out randomly with no names on them, and you're going to meet with your table groups, and your table group has to pick one answer to submit into duplicate drop. You're going to put it up on the board, and then I'm going to go through the problems one by one, and for each correct answer, our team will earn a minute of free time. If there's an answer that's wrong, you don't lose anything, but if there's a duplicate answer, you lose it all, and you have to start over.
Using that interest igniter, everyone is motivated to try to be creative. So now dive into this problem again. How will you change your answer knowing you don't want to have a duplicate of anyone else? Take 20 seconds to think about how you would approach this differently now.
This interest igniter creates a scenario where everyone automatically thinks deeper. When it comes time to choose the paper, kids are deeply critiquing the reasoning of others, which is math practice 3 and is so hard to get kids authentically and willingly to do.
This exact problem was given to a group of 6th and 7th graders, and these are the answers that emerged. Using the magic window of time, we uncovered extremely creative solutions and strategies that opened the eyes of everyone in the room, including me, their teacher. The first student, they thought money, wanted to decrease it by 45 cents because he didn't think anyone else would. Another student made the decimal into a fraction out of 100 and simplified. Then she subtracted a fraction she didn't think others would do. The next student's approach was to think about the final number they wanted to land on and randomly picked 41/100ths. Then she subtracted that from the original and made it a simplified fraction. This one blew the class away with its uniqueness. This student likes percents and decided to subtract 16% from 65% to get below 50%. And then they simply wrote it as a fraction, and one student replied, "Is that even legal?" And this last student is an example of your high flyer who knew the answer immediately, but spent some time and effort to be more creative to avoid matches.
We've just shared 2 scenarios of how we use interest igniters. We've done this with over 25 different teachers in hundreds of classrooms with wide-ranging demographics over the past 8 years. This is some of the feedback we've received.
One student said, "I learned my brain works." That really touched us.
This makes me actually love math.
And do I have to go to my band lesson? It's my favorite when students don't want to leave the classroom.
Teachers have said things like, "I never would have thought that thinking would have come out of that problem."
My classroom is now my happy place.
We've also gotten some feedback from others. A principal said, "I get lost in the moment. I'm supposed to be typing feedback for a teacher, but I get mesmerized and I don't want to leave."
And a superintendent who joined the class, "When I saw this in action, I was simply amazed at what I saw." One thing we never saw coming was the amazing byproducts that comes from the idea of community and building connection. Our journey started by just trying to get kids to dive into rigorous problems, but it's ended up in a place where it's truly impacted our classroom as a whole. By doing these 1 to 2 times per week as time allows, we have unified our classroom.
We have more laughter. We have this feeling of human connection between students and peers and students and us. And we have kids cheering when they see that we're going to do these today. Yes, they are cheering right before we are going to do really hard math. Their achievement is growing and my passion has been reignited.
We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the knuckleheads. But before we do, we said we'd talk about no name and no grades. So let's do that now. We have found that by not putting their names on and not grading these, kids' minds are absolutely freed. They can get back to that kindergarten spirit of trying to do something, trying to learn just for the sake of learning. Grades become a pressure situation for kids. And with kids with poor math backgrounds, names become a fearsome thing to put on a paper. But even your knuckleheads are more likely to give it a try because of the anonymities of no names. If they don't know where to get started, you have an opportunity to swing by and nudge them with a hint.
If that doesn't give them enough to reach a solution, we've found that they're still quiet and they allow their peers to work, because then hopefully the class will have success because they all benefit from more correct answers.
We came to the realization talking today that we have done this in hundreds of classrooms, and we have yet to have a behavior issue doing one of these.
Where else can you use interest igniters besides tackling rigorous problems?
You could use them to have students complete a set of problems.
You could have students meet deadlines or check-ins on projects.
You could use interest igniters to get kids to care about state test prep.
Or just to simply share their thinking.
You could use them to read and internalize a rubric.
Or stay attentive at the vertical boards.
Or just simply to turn in homework.
Truly, whatever it is that you want kids to focus on, interest igniters give them that focus and that purpose. It really does come down to your imagination on how to use these. Right now, I'm really struggling with one of my classes and their behavior. And so I am using an interest igniter to try and change their behavior. We have an interest igniter called Connect 4, and I'm using it and setting a timer for every 20 minutes. I'm explaining the behaviors that I'm hoping to see in the students. And when that timer goes off, if the students have made it, they get to drop an O. And if they don't, we drop a random X. And they're trying to get 4 in a row to earn 5 minutes of free time as a class. If you come up with some creative uses of our interest igniters, we would love to hear about them.
Anything you can think of that kids find engaging, you can turn it into an interest igniter. Do it. You won't regret it. If you don't want to spend time and energy on that, we've developed a wide variety of quirky creative challenges that we use in our classroom and vetted out the ones that work best. Here's a quick overview of some of the others.
Hotshot. We give kids the opportunity to do their favorite thing, which is throw paper into the garbage can.
Test of faith. Kids have to collectively decide if they want to risk their minutes for more.
Take 5. This is one where the students have to analyze peer work.
Speed line. The class has to collectively form a line in a certain order within a certain time frame.
Priority chain. Another one where kids analyze peer work and order them based on their confidence.
Pitching pennies. This one gets them moving as they toss pennies to earn free time.
Maze madness is where the class is collectively navigating a maze. The more correct answers, the better their chances.
Cover the dot. My personal favorite. Kids try to cover a dot using Post-it notes. There's just lots of laughs with this one.
Connect 4. Just like the childhood game, but it's students against teacher, and they better have correct answers to play.
Confidence challenge. This one tests those kids who are a little overconfident. They have to place their papers correctly into correct or incorrect and can earn free time or lose free time.
Airball. This one, the students hit a piece of paper in the air trying to reach their goal. It seems so easy, and it is so frustrating for them.
We have some free ones on our website, and because you endured this session, if you use code MATHMOMENTS at checkout, you'll get another one for free as well. We've talked through a lot today, and it might seem daunting, but please remember, it really comes down to this basic principle. You take anything you value or want kids to care about, and you wrap an interest igniter around it. Not only will this work in math class, we are starting to brainstorm and research its effectiveness in other classes too.
If you're feeling like this profession is sucking the life out of you, like kids don't care, like administration doesn't understand the pressures that you're under, you are not alone.
Interest igniters can bring back the optimism, the excitement you had your first year of teaching.
If you want to join us live, we will be on a Google Meet immediately following the airing of this presentation. Stick around to grab the QR code or the Google Meet code to join us.
We really hope you try this idea in your classroom. If you do, you have any questions or challenges, please let us know.
And please reach out and share your successes. We love to hear that. We thrive on knowing that this is bringing a bit of joy to teachers and students alike.
Thank you so much for your time today.